People of the internet, welcome back to another video. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another one. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, the subscribes are all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning into these videos. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. Talking about dating etiquette in 2023 and beyond, right? Of course, over the past few days, there's been a few videos that have gone viral. One girl says she refused to go on a date to Cheesecake Factory when her date for the evening pulled up to the parking lot. She refused to get out the vehicle and said that restaurant was beneath her. Another girl goes and eats an obscene amount of oysters on a date when the gentleman only told her that he wanted to get to know her, maybe a few round of drinks, whatever the case is. There's been a lot of different things that's going on and caused the internet to have their opinions, of course, which they usually do. Now, some people do think that some of these are fake, scripted. Honestly, for me, I personally think some of them are, to get a reaction, as social media usually does, social engineering. But today we're going to play with the idea that these are indeed real life situations because, especially my generation below me, dating seems to be a game, right? Game of cat and mouse, right? Psychological warfare, some might say. The one I want to actually review in particular is this list that's been going around crazily about, it looks like a group of females compiled a list of restaurants where they were refused to go on the first date, right? Let's go ahead and pull up this list. And let's go through some of these places. And I want to come back and I want to kind of get your thoughts on this as well, too. Of course, I always encourage you guys to leave your comments down in the comment section. I want to share my thoughts as well, too, in terms of piss being in the dating pool. Right, as I usually say. Let's get into this list. So, of course, this comes from Complex. And, of course, it's actually been everywhere, so just chose to go with Complex. But says here's a list of places women absolutely refuse to go on a first date to. And thank you to the ladies who reached out to me to help me on my list. Now, before I get into this list, right, some of these things, take it with a grain of salt. I think some of this is just satire as well. But let's go ahead and review this list real quick. Top of the list, Cheesecake Factory. You have Applebee's, Chili's, Chipotle, Olive Garden, the movies, your house, any fast food chain, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, Red Lobster. I mean, of course, you guys see it here. I don't necessarily have to go through all of it here. But you see these places on the list. Now, some of these places, they're just flat out ridiculous. Some of these places, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you going on a first date, in my opinion, with any of these places. But it's the audacity, right? It's the audacity. And it makes me think, like, as I mentioned before, of course, there's piss in the dating pool. Is the phrase I usually like to say, man. The standards are in hell. The bar is set so low for what is going to be the requirement or the expectations when courting a man or courting a woman, vice versa, whatever the case is, in this generation. For me personally, as somebody who don't frequent the pool often, I might stop in, right, dip my toe in, check the climate and see if I still, see what's out there, whatever. But honestly, like, I don't got time. I don't got time for these games. I don't got time for the back and forth, the psychological warfare, the, tit and tat with these modern women. Now, hear me out. Some of you guys will say, oh, gosh, here he goes, bashing women. I'm not going to necessarily say that it's just the women's fault. Fellas, it's us too. Taking accountability. It's a two-sided coin. Fellas, one, I would say in situations like this, if you're looking to take out a woman and there's some confusion as to where she will and will not go when you're just starting out to getting to know her, that's red flag number one. Respect yourself, king. Ladies, on the reverse of that, right? I'm not saying you can't have your standards. I'm not saying you can't, have a certain way that you want to conduct yourself and, the type of men that you're interested in. I do understand that. But please make sure that you're basing your standards off of your own personal preferences and not those that come from the internet. The internet will lead you astray, as we do know. I've said on this channel a billion times before. Let's pull up this list again. Cheesecake Factory, absolutely nothing wrong with it. Applebee's, absolutely nothing wrong with it. Chili's, Chipotle, absolutely nothing wrong with it. Olive Garden, absolutely nothing wrong with it. The movies on the first date, I get it. The movies on the first date, I get it. If the whole point of going on a date is to actually get to know a person, then maybe a movie isn't the primary date. You're not going to really have an opportunity to do so, right? Your house on a first date, yep, cool, I get it. Ladies, respect yourselves. If a gentleman only has, and I'll say this before I even say that, depending on the rapport, right? Because we in the generation of hookup culture, and everybody has their means of what they're looking for in a relationship, whatever the case is. So if it's that, it's that. Let's just call a spade a spade. If you are just looking for a quick hookup, I'm not here to judge. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, shame on you, whatever the case is, but go in with the right expectations. So maybe if you those are the terms that you came to with that person, maybe your house isn't a bad idea if it is under those terms. But let's assume, right, that this is somebody that, as many girls that I know now, you're dating to marry. You're looking for a solid man, and vice versa. Fellas, you're looking for a solid woman. You want to make her wifey. You're looking for the mother of your child. Your house is not going to be the ideal place for the first date. That I do agree. The list continues, right? Let's just hop in some of these, because again, some of these I think are just chaotic. They're just stupid. Some of these I think are rightfully so. So your house, any fast food chain. Me personally, I don't eat McDonald's. If I'm going to a fast food chain, I only eat Chick-fil-A. I don't think, me personally, I'm taking a girl out to any fast food chain. We might do Chick-fil-A, but that's, whatever. Depending on, again, if this is the first date, whatever the case is, I have no problem with that. The point I'm trying to make here, folks, is that make rules based off of your own circumstances, based off of your own finances, based off of things that you deem, right, as the logical, rational things to do. Just because such and such said in a song that, oh, we don't do this no more. I think there's some clips I usually see about that. Drake will shut down a lot of things and make us fellas feel inadequate. Like, damn, we don't do that no more. What did he say? Your man got you what did he say? Your man got you at a party bus or whatever the case. I forget. Drake has said so many lines that'll make you feel like, damn, bro, is that not cool? But who made Drake the end all be all person to determine what's cool and what's not? Drake? Come on, nah, bruh. Work to the budget that you can afford. If you only got fast food chain money, that's what you can afford. You're probably going to be entertaining fast food chain women. Let's just keep it a buck. But maybe that's all you can afford. And I'll say this. Fellas, if your finances are not right, you shouldn't be worrying about going on a date anyway. Bro, let's start there. If you only got fast food chain money, again, I'm not knocking your hustle, because again, we could be talking about teenagers. What if we're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds? Yeah, maybe I'm expecting y'all to maybe hit up the McDonald's first, But nowadays, everybody got it. Everybody got the bread now, so it's just like maybe depending on your bracket, maybe that's what you can afford. But I'm also gonna say this: if your pockets ain't right, please remove dating from your list of priorities. I'm begging you. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. Ladies as well, too. If you're under the impression that, you're feeling a little bit hungry and you're wanting to eat maybe a little bit more than a guy can afford, please eat before you go, or don't go on the date at all. What's with y'all going on these dates and ordering the platter? Let's even speak on that real quick, right? Because I always see these things as well, too, on social media. They'll say, oh, what's the proper amount to spend on a first date? And again, that's going to be contingent upon the person, right? Me personally, I'm not opposed to spending what's an average amount, right? I'm not opposed to spending $100, $150. Nowadays, I'm grateful enough. Thank God, that $100 is not really setting me back too crazy these days. There was a period of time where it did. Nowadays, I'm not gonna be upset on spending $100, but you'll hear some dating gurus and say, oh, nah, make sure you don't spend over $5 on the first date, man. Take it to Starbucks to get a first coffee. You could do that if you want. But first of all, if I'm committing myself to taking you on a date, I probably already screened you properly enough to deem you worthy enough of doing exactly that. I wouldn't spend my time and my money on a date on somebody that of course this could be, in the direction of us still getting to know each other. But if I'm committing myself to taking you on a date and I'm okay with spending $100, $150, whatever the case is, it's because I deemed you in our conversations prior as somebody that I'm willing to do that for. But if you're willing to, if you're just on a whim, hey man, I just met this girl, man, we spoke once, if that, and I'm taking her to Ruth Chris or Nobu, what are the cases, then yeah, that's on you. I'm not necessarily saying that's what you should be doing. So ladies, again, if I'm you're not really, you know, and then they'll try to say, they'll try to get you for a free meal. You don't want to be the food guy, gentlemen. Respect yourselves, fellas. You don't want to be the guy that if you set that standard too high, you know that's something that you're not going to be able to maintain, that you're not going to be able to eat at Nobu and all these other fancy restaurants consistently. Don't set that bar so high out the gate. That's all I'm saying. Of course, these other names on the list, of course, Netflix and chill. Again, if that's the situation that you set up for yourself, then if it's a Netflix and chill type of link up, then that's just what it is, you know? So if that's just the first date, of course, those are going to be the terms that you, two consensual adults that are consenting to those circumstances, if that's what it is, that's what it is in this hookup culture, you know, society that we're living in right now. Family functions, nightclubs, hookah bar, this, that, and the other. There's nothing wrong with any of that. There's nothing wrong. You wouldn't go to a sporting event on the first date? What's wrong with going to a sporting event on the first date? Some of these are actually ideal dates. Like, damn, that's actually a good idea. Some of these are actually ideal places to go. There's nothing wrong with a sports event. There's nothing wrong with a hookah bar. If that's your thing, I personally don't like hookah. Makes me sick. Where else? Somewhere that requires a long drive. That's actually a good thing. In my now again, this is take that with a grain of salt. Assuming that I've vetted you properly, right, and vice versa. You vetted me. You trust me enough to go on a out of town trip. Whatever the case is, a long drive, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour drive trip. I think that's actually ideal time to listen to each other's types of favorite music and have deep, you know, intellectual, thought-provoking conversations. I think that's actually a very good idea, in my personal opinion. Don't let social media trick you out of the standards that are completely acceptable. Live by standards that make sense to you and your lifestyle. Live within your means, right? If you can't afford a $500 date, maybe it's not time for you to be entertaining $500 type of women. And of course, you know, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's keep it a buck, man. It's levels, man. If you got an eye on what you would consider a high maintenance woman and you feel like you're not at that level quite yet, that shouldn't be your focus. Work within your means, work within your budget, work within your lifestyle, and most importantly, work within the rules that make sense to you. What are your thoughts, folks? I would love to hear it down in the comment section, man. Are you struggling in the dating scene currently as well? Are you also in this tit for tat? Oh, I don't want to text him too fast because I don't want to seem pressed. Oh, I can't watch and like all her stories and like her photos because I don't want to seem up. I can't call him back too fast or up. What are all these little games that we play to not look like the loser or, you know, this lack of, you know, unwillingness to be vulnerable? Why do we play these psychological games? Do you like me or not? Do you like her or not, bro? Text her, bro. Because chances are the one, you're not the only one that finds her attractive. Ladies, do you like him or not? What's this delay game and, oh, I'm not going to call him now or up, maybe a little up, I can't. Do you like him or not? Are you interested or not? Why are we playing these games?